Have you ever noticed how some people seem to glide through life effortlessly? Opportunities just appear for them, people are drawn to them, and things somehow fall into place, even when they're not trying that hard. Meanwhile, others hustle non-stop, only to keep hitting the same walls, stuck in repeating patterns like they're caught under some invisible curse. The difference isn't what they're doing, it's who they're being at the vibrational level. This isn't just philosophical fluff. Max Planck, the Nobel Prize-winning father of quantum physics, once said, "All matter originates and exists only by virtue of vibration." That's not metaphorical. It means everything, down to the chair you're sitting on, is made up of vibrating energy. And if the material world is a mirror of frequency, then your external reality, the people you meet, the situations you face, is a direct reflection of the vibration you emit. Take Viktor Frankl's story. He survived the horrors of Auschwitz and went on to write Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl noticed something profound. Even in the worst conditions imaginable, the one thing no one could take from him was his ability to choose his response. He chose hope, empathy, purpose. That choice wasn't abstract. It altered the vibration he radiated, which in turn affected his chances of survival and his impact on others. He wasn't just reacting to life, he was creating it from the inside out. Or think about the Pygmalion effect. In 1968, psychologist Robert Rosenthal conducted a study where teachers were told certain students had extraordinary potential. The truth? Those students were selected at random. Yet months later, they actually performed better. Why? Because the teacher's belief shifted. Their expectations became positive. And those expectations subtly influenced the student's performance. That's vibrational exchange in action. The frequency of thought, belief, and feeling shaped reality. So here's the uncomfortable question. Are you unknowingly labeling yourself with low vibration signals? Fear, insecurity, scarcity, and pulling in experiences that confirm those frequencies. Nelson Mandela offers another striking example. After spending 27 years imprisoned, he emerged not bitter, but filled with forgiveness and vision. He once said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemies." He understood something fundamental. Holding on to anger keeps you vibrationally imprisoned, long after the physical bars are gone. By releasing it, he aligned himself with freedom, not just for himself, but for an entire nation. This isn't about forcing positivity. It's about realizing that the frequency you broadcast, whether rooted in gratitude, fear, confidence, or lack, creates a magnetic field around you. It draws in people, events, even random encounters that match your signal. So maybe the better question isn't, what do I need to do to fix my life? But rather, who do I need to become vibrationally to attract a different reality? If you woke up tomorrow vibrating at an entirely new frequency, let's say one of trust, worthiness, or possibility, how do you think the world around you would respond? Decode your reality, the map of consciousness and your vibration score. Dr. David Hawkins' map of consciousness gives us something radical. Proof that emotions aren't just fleeting feelings. They're measurable, energetic frequencies, each vibrating at specific levels. Shame sits at the bottom, resonating at 20. Guilt climbs slightly at 30. Fear holds steady at 100. Anger at 150. Courage, though, is the turning point at 200. Everything below courage keeps you energetically shackled to survival mode. Reactive, defensive, stuck. And here's the sobering truth. Over 80% of the global population operates in that low vibration zone, day in and day out. Why does that matter? Because your vibration doesn't stay confined to your head or your heart. It bleeds into your relationships, your career, your health, even how strangers treat you. Picture two people walking into a room. One carries years of resentment, fear of rejection, maybe some self-loathing. The other radiates inner calm, self-acceptance, a quiet sense of possibility. Who do you think naturally attracts opportunities, trust, connection? It's not luck, it's resonance. Physics, not philosophy. Think of it like a tuning fork. Strike a low-frequency fork, and nearby objects vibrate in disharmony. Strike a higher one, and everything shifts to match it. That's how your emotional state functions. But here's where it gets more fascinating. Hawkins didn't stop at labeling these frequencies. He showed that the shift isn't linear. Moving from fear 100 to courage 200 doesn't feel like a 100-point jump. It feels like crossing an emotional canyon. Why? Because to leave fear, shame, or anger behind, you have to surrender something familiar: victimhood, blame, self-pity, and step into personal responsibility. And let's be honest, that's terrifying for most. Now, if we zoom in on history, you'll notice that the people who rewrote the rules of society mastered this shift. Take Jesus, for instance. His message of unconditional love vibrates around 500 on Hawkins' scale. But what's striking isn't just the teaching, it's how he radiated love. In the face of betrayal, persecution, and cruelty. That's not human instinct. That's someone living in a vibrational state far beyond pride, far beyond anger or fear. His frequency was so high, it continues to ripple through history over 2 millennia later. In more recent history, think about someone like Mother Teresa. She worked in the slums of Calcutta, surrounded by suffering, poverty, and disease, circumstances where most would default to despair or apathy. Yet, she operated from compassion, service, love. That's a vibration above 500, unwavering despite external chaos. It's no wonder she became a magnet for global support and recognition. The world reflects back what you emit. But let's bring this down to a personal level. Ever noticed how when you're caught in anger or anxiety, small inconveniences snowball into disasters? Traffic feels unbearable. People seem ruder. Your body tenses. Your mind spirals. You're not just perceiving negativity, you're amplifying it because your frequency is inviting more of the same. On the flip side, think of moments when you're at peace or joyful. Somehow things align. People smile. Ideas flow. It's not coincidence. It's energetic cause and effect. And science backs it. Studies in heart-brain coherence show that emotions like gratitude and love literally harmonize your heart rhythms, which in turn stabilize your brain waves, immune system, and decision-making. Your biology shifts in real time based on emotional frequency. But here's the kicker. Most people wait for external conditions to improve before they allow themselves to feel better. It's backwards. You have to raise your vibration first, internally, before the external world reorganizes itself around you. Hawkins made it clear, the higher you climb on the scale, the more power you hold. Not control over others, but power over how reality responds to you. That's why courage is the gateway. It's not just bravery in the face of risk. It's the courage to take ownership of your emotional state, no matter what's happening around you. To stop asking, why does life keep doing this to me? And start asking, what frequency am I contributing to this moment? So I'll leave you with this. If you knew without a doubt that your dominant emotional vibration dictates 90% of what shows up in your life, how long would you keep living below 200? And what might happen if, starting today, you chose to shift upward, regardless of circumstance? Warning signs: you're stuck in low vibration and don't even know it. Low vibration isn't something abstract. It's not just a bad mood you shake off or a rough patch you power through. It's the invisible undercurrent running beneath every part of your life, quietly, relentlessly shaping your health, your relationships, your finances, often without you realizing how much control it has over you. Let's talk about your body first. Chronic stress, anxiety, resentment, they don't stay trapped in your head. They flood your system, flip on your fight or flight response, and leave it stuck there. Cortisol levels spike. Heart rate rises. Your immune system weakens. Digestion slows. It's no coincidence that emotional suppression, long-term worry, or anger are tied to heart disease, autoimmune disorders, even cancer. The American Psychological Association has studied this for decades. Your biology is wired to respond to your vibration. And if that vibration is running low, your body pays the price. Then there's your circle. Ever notice how people who constantly complain seem to attract friends who are equally negative? Or how when you're feeling low, conversations around you start to reflect the same heaviness? Gossip, jealousy, petty conflicts? That's energetic resonance at play. You don't just tolerate low-vibration people when you're stuck in those states. You draw them in, unconsciously signaling you're on the same frequency. And it drains you further, keeping you looping in the same emotional bandwidth. Money and success follow the same rule. It's not about how hard you grind. It's about what frequency you're operating from. A scarcity mindset, fear of losing, constant comparison, clinging to control, creates constriction. People can feel it, even if you never say a word. Opportunities slip away. You might even find yourself self-sabotaging, passing on growth out of fear of failure. I've seen countless entrepreneurs hit 6 or 7 figures, yet live in quiet panic, vibrating at pride, at fear, not freedom. And pride, interestingly, fools many. Feels like confidence, but energetically it's fragile. Pride exists because it needs comparison, validation, someone to be above. But beneath that is a constant fear. Fear of slipping, fear of losing status, fear of being exposed. Hawkins' research pinpointed this precisely. Pride vibrates higher than fear, yes, but it's still low because it's rooted in separation, not connection. How many famous figures have we watched rise, only to unravel in public, under the weight of their own unchecked pride and insecurity? But let's cut through theory and get practical. You don't need more proof that low vibration drains your life. You've probably felt it firsthand. Those periods where everything feels heavy, stagnant, resistant, no matter how hard you push. The question isn't whether low vibration affects your reality. The real question is, how long are you willing to let it? Because the moment you recognize that these patterns aren't random, that they're the result of the energy you're putting out, you also realize something else. You have the power to change it. Not tomorrow. Not when life calms down. Right now. So let me ask, if you knew your health, relationships, success were all reflecting back the frequency you've been holding, what frequency would you choose to operate at today? 7 silent killers that drain your energy and block your success. Most people walk through their day unaware of the small, almost invisible leaks draining their energy. It's not the big crises that hold them back. It's the unconscious loops, repeated behaviors, and unnoticed environments quietly lowering their frequency bit by bit. Here's the thing. Your vibration isn't determined in one dramatic moment. It's shaped by the mundane, the habitual. And if you're not actively aware of it, it defaults to the lowest common denominator of your surroundings and thoughts. Think about your mind like a garden. If you don't deliberately choose what gets planted, weeds, those negative, repetitive thought patterns take over by default. Neuroscience backs this up. Nearly 90% of our daily thoughts are the same as the day before. So if yesterday you criticized yourself, worried about the future, or replayed old regrets, odds are you're doing the same today without realizing it. And every one of those thoughts sends out a frequency, tuning you into more experiences that match. Let me ask you, have you ever noticed how after an argument, you keep reliving it in your head, rehearsing what you should have said? Or how after scrolling the news for half an hour, you feel tense, cynical, on edge? That's not a fleeting reaction. It's a vibrational imprint. The more you feed it, the more it becomes your baseline. This is where people get trapped without seeing the bars. Every complaint, every internal criticism, every moment you blame others or society, reinforces a subtle identity. I'm powerless. Life happens to me. And energetically, that story holds you below 200 on Hawkins' scale, locking you into cycles of fear, frustration, and missed opportunities. It's the same with your physical environment. Feng Shui wasn't born out of aesthetic preference. It's ancient energetic science. Walk into a cluttered, dark, disorganized room, and your body tightens, your breath shallows, your nervous system perceives chaos. You may not consciously register it, but energetically your vibration responds immediately. That's why in every spiritual tradition, from Buddhist monasteries to Christian monasteries, simplicity and order are non-negotiable. The space you live in isn't separate from your mind. It's an extension of it. Take it one step further. How do you nourish your body? Processed food, excessive caffeine, alcohol, chemical-laden meals may keep you functional, but they keep your frequency low. There's a reason why many spiritual teachers and high performers alike avoid these. It's not about moral judgment. It's about understanding that your body is the vessel for your vibration. Pollute the vessel, dull the signal. The same principle applies to the media you consume. People often underestimate how powerful information diet is. Every time you fill your mind with fear-driven news, social media outrage, violent entertainment, you're programming your nervous system to live in fight or flight. Your subconscious doesn't differentiate between what's happening on the screen and what's happening to you, and over time, this constant exposure rewires your baseline frequency to match fear, outrage, anxiety. Let's be real. How often do you stop and consciously choose what enters your mental, physical, and emotional space? Most people protect their bank accounts more carefully than they protect their attention and energy. But here's the paradox. You can't expect to vibrate at love, clarity, abundance, while unconsciously feeding yourself clutter, chemicals, negativity, and chaos. The beauty of this awareness, though, is how quickly shifts can happen when you interrupt the patterns. Ever notice how something as simple as cleaning your room or going for a walk in fresh air immediately changes your headspace? It's not random. It's the physical, energetic realignment of your environment and body, reflecting back a higher frequency. This is why monks, saints, and high performers all emphasize discipline, not as punishment, but as protection of vibration. External discipline creates internal freedom. So the real question becomes, how much unconscious noise are you tolerating daily? And what would happen if, instead of reacting to the world's chaos, you deliberately curated your space, your habits, your thoughts, like sacred ground? Because here's the truth. No external success, relationship, or breakthrough can sustainably rise above the vibration of the environment you've chosen to live in, mentally, physically, emotionally. And until you master that, you'll keep wondering why things feel heavy, stuck, or out of sync. What if the shift you've been waiting for isn't out there, but quietly waiting in the next choice you make about what you allow in? Science and spiritual secrets to instantly raise your vibration. Raising your vibration isn't some mystical concept floating out of reach. It's something tangible, actionable, and fully within your control. Science, spirituality, biology, and centuries of human wisdom all point to the same core truth. The frequency you operate on day after day determines not only how you feel, but what you attract, how people respond to you, and the outcomes you keep experiencing. And here's the secret. Your vibration isn't something you passively receive. It's something you deliberately generate. Let's start with presence. You've probably heard the phrase, "Be here now." But how often do you actually live it? Quantum physicists like Nassim Haramein have revealed that the universe doesn't respond to what you plan to do tomorrow or what happened last week. It's reacting moment by moment to the vibrational signal you're emitting right now. Every time your mind drifts into worry, regret, or replays old conversations, you're unconsciously lowering that signal, tightening your frequency. But when you stop, breathe deeply, tune in to the sensations in your body, you snap out of the mental loops, you reclaim the moment. Buddhist monks call it sati, mindfulness. Christian saints practice the same in contemplative prayer. It's not about religion. It's about accessing the raw magnetic power that exists only in the now. But presence isn't enough on its own. Once you've cleared space by becoming present, what fills that space determines everything. Love and gratitude aren't just warm feelings, they're vibrational superpowers. Dr. David Hawkins measured love at 500 Hz, gratitude at 540 Hz. At these frequencies, your entire energy field expands, your nervous system relaxes, and your perception of life shifts. And it's not abstract. Studies at UC Berkeley have proven that daily gratitude, something as simple as jotting down 3 things you're thankful for, can rewire your brain for positivity, boost immune function, and lift your baseline mood in as little as 30 days. Spiritual teachers have known this forever. The Bible teaches, give thanks in all things, not because it sounds nice, but because gratitude is a mechanism that flips you from lack into fullness. In Buddhist practice, metta, loving kindness, isn't just compassion for others, it's a tool to dissolve the illusion of separation, aligning you with higher consciousness. If you want to go deeper, sound and meditation take you further. Metta meditation doesn't just calm your mind, programs your vibration toward love. Pair that with sound frequencies, 432 Hz, 528 Hz, the solfeggio scale, and you're tuning both your brainwaves and energetic body at the same time. Research shows these frequencies synchronize your neural patterns, pulling you out of scattered, stressed states into coherence, clarity, and flow. And here's something few people realize. All the meditation, mindfulness, and gratitude in the world can be undermined by one overlooked factor: your internal dialogue. That's where affirmations change the game. Your subconscious absorbs repetition. It doesn't question whether something is true. It simply accepts what it hears enough times. So if you catch yourself daily thinking, "I'm not enough," or "nothing ever works out for me," your vibration will match that story, but deliberately replacing those loops. "I am a magnet for opportunity. I radiate calm and confidence," starts to lay new neural pathways. It might feel fake at first, but biology doesn't care about authenticity. It responds to repetition, and none of this stands on solid ground. Unless your body, your literal vessel, is vibrating cleanly, you can't expect to operate at high frequency while feeding yourself processed, dead food every day. Fresh, whole, living foods, fruits, vegetables, seeds, carry life force energy. You ingest that, and your cells function differently. Ancient systems like Ayurveda emphasized the sattvic diet long before nutrition science existed, because they knew clarity, peace, vibrancy start with what you fuel yourself with. So let's get brutally honest. How intentional are you being with your vibration right now? You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight, but every breath, every meal, every thought, every sound is a choice. Do you align with expansion or contraction? Here's the real power. You're not waiting for something outside you to change. You're holding the dial every single moment. What's one habit you could shift today that would immediately raise your frequency? Not someday, but right now. Daily rituals to lock in high vibration and attract abundance. One of the biggest misconceptions people carry is that reaching a high vibrational state is the endgame, as if you meditate once, eat clean for a week, or feel gratitude for a moment, and then coast effortlessly through life. But anyone who's studied the brain, energy, or human behavior knows that's not how it works. Vibration isn't static. It's a living frequency, shaped daily, moment, by what you consistently do, think, feel, and expose yourself to. It's why Dr. Joe Dispenza emphasizes something most people overlook. Repetition rewires reality. Your brain is built to automate. Whatever you feed it repeatedly, it accepts as baseline. So if you want to lock in higher frequencies, not fleeting spikes, but sustained states, you need to train your nervous system to recognize those states as familiar, even default. That starts first thing in the morning, before the world floods in with noise, demands, distractions. Dispenza often recommends short meditation windows, 5 to 10 minutes at a time, not because longer is better, but because consistency is what changes brainwave patterns. When you prime your system to anchor in presence, gratitude, and calm at the start and end of each day, you're not reacting to life, you're designing your frequency ahead of time. It's mental rehearsal, but at the energetic level. Look at elite performers, whether CEOs, athletes, or spiritual figures. Almost all of them have daily rituals. Steve Jobs was known for keeping his environment minimal, almost austere, so nothing cluttered his mind. Mother Teresa began each day in prayer and service, recalibrating her inner world before facing external chaos. These routines weren't luxuries, they were necessary to maintain the internal alignment required for their roles. Now zoom out and think about your space. Cluttered surroundings don't just stress the eyes, they signal disorder to the brain. You walk through piles of laundry, unopened emails, half-finished tasks, and without realizing it, you carry that mental noise all day. But when you commit to clearing physical space weekly, you're not just organizing objects, you're tuning your environment to reflect clarity and openness. Same with food. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet overnight, but making the choice even once a day to eat something alive, fresh fruits, vegetables, whole foods, sends a signal to your body. I value vitality. That decision radiates out far beyond physical nutrition. And let's talk about information. We live in an age where outrage, fear, and conflict are one click away 24/7. Your phone, your news feed, your conversations, if left unchecked, become pipelines of low-frequency input. So being deliberate about what you consume isn't avoidance, it's self-mastery. You wouldn't leave your front door wide open to let anyone walk in. Why would you leave your mental space unguarded? Same goes for movement. You don't need an intense workout regimen. Gentle exercise, walking in nature, connecting with your body's rhythms. All of these keep stagnant energy from accumulating. You ground yourself back into the present moment, out of overthinking, back into flow. Gratitude practices tie it all together. Writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day might seem basic, but over time, you're rewiring your brain to seek out what's working instead of scanning for problems. It trains your emotional baseline to expect sufficiency, not scarcity. So here's something worth reflecting on. If you already know that your vibration determines what you attract, how you feel, and how life meets you, then the real question isn't whether you should establish daily habits, just why you wouldn't. Where in your day are you unintentionally handing control of your frequency to chaos, clutter, or old programming? And what could shift if you reclaimed that control, one small habit at a time? You are the creator. How to design the reality you truly desire. The moment you realize your vibration isn't fixed fate, but a switch you control, that's the moment everything shifts. Your health, your finances, your relationships, your sense of purpose, all of it responds to the frequency you choose to embody. Not someday, but right now. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the creator of them. Think about it. Every thought, every emotion, every habit is either reinforcing the life you have or rewiring the life you want. When you stop seeing vibration as abstract and start treating it as the operating system of your reality, you stop waiting for change. You become the change. So here's the challenge. Give yourself 21 days, not half-heartedly, fully. Commit to elevating your vibration every day through conscious habits, mindful choices, deliberate focus. Watch how opportunities appear where there were none. Watch how your body feels lighter, your relationships soften, synchronicities line up like dominoes. You won't need to look for the miracle. You'll realize you are the miracle. Say it aloud, not once, but until you believe it. I am the creator of my reality. And if this resonated, if something in you knows it's time to reclaim that creative power, Hit like, subscribe, and stay connected. This is just the beginning. Why keep scrolling through someone else's version of life when you could be building your own?